Andre Alfred, Warrant Officer Class 1, attached to the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force, and I'm pleased to be your house announcer today. The day has started beautifully with just the right amount of fresh water blended with a bit of heat to make this parade ground located just adjacent to the backlit Dwight York Stadium the ideal place to have our Independence Day ceremonial parade. Again, my name is Andre Alfred, Warrant Officer Class 1, attached to the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force, and I'm pleased to be your house announcer. Just a couple house rules. At today's celebration, we have the colors of two entities on parade. One that would be between the detachments number 1 and 2 of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment, part of the Ministry of National Security under the umbrella of the Defense Force, as well as the color party for Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force 3rd Battalion. As these entities make their way across the parade grounds, I would be inviting the public to stand in respect and homage for these color parties. Additionally, at the playing of the national anthem at the end, or just about coming to the end of the parade, again, I would invite the public to stand as the national anthem is being played. And finally, for the arrival of the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, the Honorable Farley Augustine, we would all stand upon his arrival at the parade grounds. So, expected to be at today's parade So, dear ladies and gentlemen, you would have had the signaling by the parade command. The four-lane has been blown by the bugler, so charged. And in just a short while, the bodies for parade will be forming at the form-up point just in front of the number 1 hardware. So already present at today's parade is the battalion commander of the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force, Major Cloyd Blackman. Additionally, Peter Griffith, Assistant Divisional Fire Officer, representing the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. So I stand corrected. Representing the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service is the Assistant Chief Fire Officer, Mr. Peter Griffith. So the bands are taking their position to be in readiness to march the parade on. Additionally, at the point of the general salute, there will be a series of loud explosions that will simulate gun salute. Persons are advised to remain calm and try not to be too startled at this occurrence. It should occur during our period of standing while the national anthem of the Trinidad and Tobago is sounded.
I shoot down Tobagonians to come to Tobago. This is home. This is home.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's just about showtime as we notice the right markers of the detachments on parade taking their positions on the parade square.
They've done good thing.
And they are being marched out on the parade grounds by the assistants of the parade, the chief, as well as W1 Duncan,
Okay, are you good? You ready?
Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Reserve. So we have 2 detachments of the regiment.
Well, for the start. For the start. Start. Bandmaster. Bandmaster. Yeah, but. You.
1 detachment Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. 2 detachment Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. 2 detachments Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force.
And blessed morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to this very special broadcast of our Diamond Jubilee, the 60th anniversary of Trinidad and Tobago's independence. Broadcasting out of the parade grounds right here in Bacalet, Tobago. Beautiful day. I am Ryan McCool. I have the esteemed pleasure of being your host. And with me, of course, I have the fine, able gentlemen and personnel of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, starting, of course, right next to me, we have a Sub-Lieutenant, Sub-Lieutenant Darian Carrington of the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. And next to him, of course, we have Private Joseph Lopez of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning to you, Mr. McCool. It's definitely a pleasure and a privilege to be here on this auspicious occasion for our 60th anniversary of independence.
Diamond Jubilee. And let me just say to you, gentlemen, before we go any further, let me just thank you all for your service. Thank you all for all that you are doing on behalf of the nation, on behalf of us citizens. And, thank you all for everything. Today is one of the days that we actually get to see the unarmed and armed forces in their full adornment. So, it's a real pleasure to have you gentlemen here this morning.
Certainly is. It's definitely our pleasure and our privilege to be here and to serve the country. So
Yes.
It's really a privilege.
Yes, so we have a fine day, and we can already see that the parade square is starting to get on the way. We see spectators already fanning out on the perimeter of the parade grounds, and even in coming here, we saw persons rushing to secure their spots along the parade route in itself,
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
certainly patrons have just started to make their way, as we can see in the national colors, of course, just wanting to lap up the spectacle that is supposed to unfold here today.
It's going to be a magnificent show.
Most definitely.
Yes.
60 years ago, at the stroke of midnight, the Union Jack of Great Britain was lowered and the national flag of Trinidad and Tobago was hoisted for the very first time. Pride and joy permeated the atmosphere, and this is a significant occasion that reminds us of what took place so many years ago.
Yes. And as we can see, the combined band is marching on the parade
right.
detachment, who are going to take up their spots by the detachment right markers. You see all lined off. For every detachment, there is a detachment right marker. And
Yes.
each detachment will fall into place on the right marker
That's
as the
correct.
parade continues. And you can see the precision and the prestige.
Yes, such is the aim of drill.
That is right.
All right? To
'Cause
produce a soldier that is proud, resilient,
discipline.
yes, disciplined,
And that is the basis of drill.
and on the
For
basis of teamwork as well.
The defense force, to be able to move a body of men
Yes,
from
yes.
one place to another,
Yes,
and to develop that discipline.
Correct is right. That esprit de corps, that together we aspire, together we achieve, that whole unison and
Yes.
solidarity. As we can see, the crowd is already cheering on
Yes. So, Mr. McCool, you would realize that a lot of rehearsals would have gone into today's preparation. The detachments would have been rehearsing in previous days gone by, just to ensure that everything is smooth and that they really represent the true meaning of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force on this auspicious and propitious occasion.
And well, not just the Defense Force, but we see the other formations as well.
That's
we
correct.
have police service, we have fire, we have the cadet force.
Yes.
And everyone puts in a certain amount of dedication in order to come out here this morning and give a great show.
That's right, sir. And so we also have the armed contingent, the armed detachments, and the unarmed detachments this morning. And of course, the unarmed detachments will be formed up to the rear of the parade square.
We see the armed detachments are halting, and they've been given the instructions to advance and face the saluting diocese and await the marching on of the officers.
That's right.
And if you're watching at home or you're watching outside, from wherever you are, it is, I can't begin to explain the feeling that you get when you're actually here. That sort of frisson, that paw-raising.
That's right. There's a certain
paw-raising feeling. Yeah.
Pride that it engenders in you.
Correct is right.
When you hear the music, when you see the precision drill and the contingents coming on.
Yeah. And the weather is complementing the atmosphere and the spectacle that we are seeing on display here today on the ground.
Oh yes, definitely. God is smiling on us this morning.
Yes.
You know, we've come a far way, 60 years. Also, just remembering that we missed out this iconic parade for 2 years, being held hostage by the COVID pandemic.
We're still kind of looming in the shadow of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But it's very good, and personally for me, that we could have this parade, not having it in those 2 years.
Yeah, definitely. I think that marks even a greater significance because somewhere within the 60 years, we tend to get complacent as Trinbagonians.
A little bit.
Yeah, and even as human beings. And the COVID in itself sort of, taking that 2 years of independence away from us, basically.
It reminded us that we need to slow down,
yes.
take stock, and have a little bit of gratitude.
Correct is right.
And even considering that we are 60 years old, that is just a babe in terms of nations. We have other nations who are 500, 200 years old, who've been established as nations. Yeah. But we, as this little twin island republic, in just 60 years.
What's it called, teenage years?
I don't know, that has to be...
that has to be something.
I would say babe.
Yeah, still a babe. Because
but we have accomplished so much.
That's correct.
And we have given, not only accomplished so much, but we have given the world so much.
That's right.
As this little twin island republic.
Yeah, so many things to celebrate. And I mean, even though you're saying it's slight, that we have accomplished so much, but people really need to just sit down and reflect and understand that in actually becoming independent, it's the lyric in the anthem. It was that boundless faith in liberty. You're branching off into the unknown. You don't know how you're going to fare as a country and stand on your own. So it was nation building, people had to come together. Where were you getting the money? How were you going to build your ministries?
Exactly. And I like what you highlighted there as building.
Yes.
It's an ongoing process.
It definitely is an ongoing process.
And it's what we continually need to do. We build ourselves, we build our nation.
Correct.
We build that dedication to service and to developing that attitude of patriotism.
Correct. I would call it it's a relay.
Yes, it is.
It is a relay, and I believe that the generations now, if you haven't, you need to get involved with the relay. The baton will fall on us, and those younger than us to carry it on, because those men and women, they lifted this country on their backs.
That's right.
And as you both said, it's a time for introspection, and we ought to engage ourselves in reflection as individuals of this great nation. But as we see on the square right now, the unarmed detachments have been formed up to the back, and they are receiving their commands for dressing.
Yes, so the parade is being dressed in open order, and dressing the parade in open order allows the space for the parade sergeant major to give the instructions for them to fix bayonets. So that they can draw the bayonets from their scabbards and attach them to the tip of the rifle.
And I'm sure persons are probably wondering what is the bayonets. But in medieval times, especially in the Egyptian times of the military, it was used as for close range attack.
Yes,
It
that's
was
right. Close water
actually-
combat.
Yes, that's correct.
Melee fighting.
So you can
Melee,
have
so-
yes.
When you're out of bullets, or you have somebody in range and you want to save your bullets, you
The
have a
sword-
weapon at
So
the
it's
end of
attached
your.
to the weapon.
That's right.
yes.
You have a knife
At the end of the muzzle.
at the end of your weapon that you could do some harm.
Yeah, you never run out of ammo
Incapacitate a
with a
person.
knife.
Never.
Never run out of ammo.
I think the last time in my research it was used in 1995. The USA Army. That was the last time bayonets
That
was
they had
actually
bayonets
used
fixed.
in a war, in battle.
In
What?
combat.
Yes,
Well,
in combat.
as you just reminded me about the research, I want to also say a special happy anniversary to the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment. They're also celebrating 60 years this year.
Not just the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment, but also the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard.
Coast Guard as
also
well, yes.
celebrated 60 years of being established.
Great. So, you know,
And that
happy
was one of
anniversary to all
the
you.
prerequisites for
Yeah.
us being an independent nation, having the ability to defend ourselves. So we needed an internal force and a naval force in order to gain that autonomy of independence.
And
So
of course,
the Coast Guard was formed, well, the regiment was formed, and then the Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard.
Yeah.
and the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment was unveiled on the 20th of August 1962 for the first time for the arrival of Princess Margaret when she came to Trinidad. And of course for the presentation of the 1st Infantry Battalion colours by His Royal Highness Prince Philip on November the 10th, later on in 1964. And Mr. McCool, what is also interesting is that in 1960, the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment aided Tobago in humanitarian aid when Hurricane Flora struck the island.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first duties that they were plunged into.
Yeah, but and also it's some of also the main duties because other than this, the public doesn't really get to see the forces unified like this unless it's unfortunately a disaster where
Yes.
they are called to act. And so today is really a day to celebrate because at least we're getting to see them without that disaster.
Without them.
That's
And
right.
Get to
That's one of the
celebrate
important
today.
things is that even though you don't see us, we are always prepared and ready.
Always
for
ready.
action.
Yeah. Yes.
Always ready, always in preparation. And it's very good especially when you don't see your army,
Yeah,
because
it is especially good.
that means that it's good, it's peace.
A lot is happening
Yeah,
behind
yeah,
the scenes
yeah.
that we do that the public don't know. But we are always ensuring that there is safety, of course, and well equipped, ready for combat anytime. You know, we're always engaging in training, and so it's really amazing.
And the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard performing a number of different roles. We're responsible for national defense, maritime security,
That's correct.
fisheries protection.
That's correct.
We are always out there performing our roles.
And the officers look so well decked this morning.
So we have the parade handing over actually taking place right now.
So again, if you're now tuning in, you're watching a very special broadcast of our Diamond Jubilee, our 60th anniversary of Trinidad and Tobago's independence. We're broadcasting out of the parade grounds at Tobago, Bacalet, Tobago, home of the Dwight York Stadium. Very happy independence.
Yes, and of
to
course,
one
all
and
of these drills requires precision, and that's why rehearsals are always done.
And as you said that, I actually had the pleasure of recording the 5-day state funeral of His late Excellency, Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robertson. That was spearheaded by the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, and I had the privilege of seeing what goes on behind the scenes when the cameras aren't even there, and the drills, the precision, everything is done with meaning. There's profound meaning to even the smallest things.
A lot of work goes into what we do.
Now we see the parade second in command handing over. We see the parade second in command taking up command of the parade, being handed over from the parade adjutant. The parade second in command today is Lieutenant Commander Cohen Paris.
I truly, truly love the respect, the profound respect that comes off in these details.
Well, everything that we do in the military is about paying respect, because all that is part of the discipline.
Yes,
Yeah,
it most
definitely.
definitely is.
Because you can't control a body of men without the discipline.
Correct is right. And
And-
that definitely embodies our watchwords, right?
That's right. We have
Discipline,
that
production, tolerance,
that
yeah.
tolerance and that production.
Yes, yes.
For sure, for sure.
I know definitely you all have that tolerance.
Oh, of course, we have to.
Have to.
Because it does require you standing a lot in the sun. So you have to also be hydrated. You must ensure that you get rest
Yeah.
as well.
I was
for a
also
particular
told that
event
there's
like this.
special techniques to
Yes.
Of course,
to stand in.
You wiggle your toes, you
Yeah.
breathe deeply because the sun is very hot.
Yeah, and to keep the circulation going as well.
Of course. And we see the parade second in command has given the instructions to march on the officers. So all the officers in charge of the detachments are now taking up their positions in front of their respective detachments. So from the regiment, the detachment commander is Captain Kanuhira Sanka, and the second in command is Second Lieutenant Isaiah Garcia. For the number 2 detachment of the regiment, we have Second Lieutenant Sunifa McKenzie and Second Lieutenant Makeda Williams. For the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, we have Lieutenant Karen Valer as detachment commander and Sub-Lieutenant Tyler Faraz as the second in command. For the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Reserves, we have Lieutenant Eisen Warner as the parade
Yes.
IC, and as the second in command, we have Second Lieutenant Tiffany Robley.
And in case of viewers are wondering, who are officers in the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force? Well, they are personnel who hold some of the highest ranks within the organization.
That's right.
Right.
They have been given, or I say we have been given, a commission on behalf of the president.
The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces.
That's right. And we have, from her authority being the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, we are given some of that authority to be in charge of the men.
Yes. And you'll receive specialized training and also enter into the position with specialized training and qualifications.
For sure. Now, the parade has been handed over by the parade second in command to the parade commander. That is the parade commander, Lieutenant Colonel Jermaine Rushford.
And as far as I know, this is a tremendous honor to be parade commander.
Of course, to be in charge of an entire parade to present to the Honorable Chief Secretary
Yeah.
as the highest governing official in Tobago. It is definitely a proud privilege, and even more so for someone who is Tobago born.
Ah, definitely.
Because
definitely.
Lieutenant Colonel Rushford is Tobago born, partly bred, I understand.
Yes.
He has over 22 years of service in the Defense Force. So Lieutenant Colonel Rushford has now given the instruction for the parade to be stand at ease. He is now ordering them to present arms in preparation for the marching on of the color.
Yes. And of course, the color party would have been organizing themselves. The color warrants would have been assisting in getting the colors prepared to be marched on to the parade square.
Now, Private Lopez, just tell us a little bit more about the significance of having your color on parade.
All right, so color escorts are seen preparing to march on the colors. All right, and what is significant about the colors is that they would have been consecrated, right, as a form of blessing and also as a sign and a symbol for protection. And it also helps the troops to identify where their company or corps or battalion is on the battlefield back in the day. So it's one of the highest orders in the ceremony, and the colors must always be treated with the highest form of respect.
Highest form of esteem, highest form of respect.
Because it's a high order ceremony, and that's why the commander would have instructed the troops to present arms.
Now, the present arms is a form of saluting when you
Yes.
have a weapon.
That's right.
So you're given the instruction to present arms to show your respect for the color marching on parade.
Yes. And they would be led by the color warrants and the color sergeants. And it is
And as we look on, we could see all the patrons and VVIPs in attendance taking to their feet as they pay homage to.
so the color party will now present arms to be synchronized with the entire detachment on the parade square.
And the parade commander has now given the instruction for the parade to shoulder arms and then order arms to await the arrival of the chief secretary.
Yes, and that's what you call rifle exercises.
And here we have the arrival of the Honorable Chief Secretary, Mr. Farley Chavez Agustin, Secretary of Finance and Trade and the Economy as well. This is the wife. So we have the wife of the Chief Secretary first. Ms. Tatiana Ned Agustin, spouse of the Honorable Chief Secretary, being escorted to her seat.
Fashionably decked and donned in the red of our
Definitely
national color.
representing Trinidad and Tobago here
Yes.
today.
And we will certainly see a lot of patrons here today showing off their patriotic fervor and pride in their dress and being very creative using and utilizing our national colors.
It definitely shows a sense of pride and a sense of
Yes,
patriotism
yes.
when you come out decked in your red, white, and black.
Yes, and the women tend to be very creative. Men tend to have it a little more difficult. But I see Mr. McCool here certainly did not disappoint in his dress and putting together his colors.
Loving the red, white, and black.
Yeah, well, I have to represent, I have to represent.
Well, you certainly did well.
I could only do so well to compliment you fine gentlemen here, you
Well,
esteemed gentlemen.
The uniform helps.
Yeah?
Yes, it
There's mostly
certainly
uniform.
does.
Well, yes. Well, I mean, you look quite smashing in it. I could dress as the flag, and we could work with that. Yeah? So here we have the arrival.
Yes, so the parade commander is given the instruction to bring the parade to attention in preparation for the arrival of another dignitary.
The Chief of
And
Defense
here we
Staff,
have the Honorable Chief Secretary himself.
And you can hear the lusty round of applause.
Yeah, and as you can hear, the
As-
crowd is cheering on
Yes.
from all on the highway for our Chief Secretary, the Honorable Farley Chavez Agustin.
And the parade
Well dressed.
commander has now instructed the parade to shoulder arms in order to prepare for the salute of the arrival of the chief secretary.
And there we have the lusty round of applause
What
ringing
a-
out from the grounds here.
And it has to be a major moment for him as well.
Yes.
Because, yeah, this is his first
Yes.
parade as chief secretary
First
of Tobago.
parade.
So we see the chief secretary on the saluting diocese receiving his salute.
And this, of course, is a very momentous occasion because we would have had a hiatus on parades for the past 2 years due to the COVID-19 virus, which was thrust upon us. So this one in particular is very special and dear to a lot of persons, and particularly to the Defense Force, because we were not able to do parades during the COVID-19 pandemic.
the first time.
So we have the parade commander approaching the chief secretary. He will now tell him that the parade is formed up and awaiting his instructions. He will tell him how many detachments.
Of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago comprising 8 armed detachments and 5 unarmed detachments, are formed up in open order with bayonets fixed and awaits your inspection, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
There's one thing that I love to see the stick orderlies go before
Yes.
the dignitaries, and the way they march
The pacing
in
is
synchronicity.
quick pace.
Yes.
Listen,
In order to clear the way for the inspection of the Chief Secretary. The Chief Secretary is accompanied by the parade commander and the Vice Chief of Defense Staff. They will go through the ranks and inspect the parade.
and as you can see the shot here, Chief Secretary being escorted, it seems as though, you know, proverbially we are marching into a new frontier, a new year as Trinidad and Tobago, or 60th year.
It's definitely a momentous occasion, and one of the reasons for the troops being formed up in open order is that the dignitary, being the Chief Secretary, can go through and inspect his troops.
Yes.
Make sure that everyone is well presented on parade, all the weapons are clean, everyone is turned out smartly in order for today's parade.
And you know, it takes quite some time in order to prepare your kit, your uniform for this occasion. So you would have that experience and you would know from your years of experience what it takes to get
definitely.
your kit ready for this moment.
Because you have to make sure that your white is extra white.
Yes, you have to ensure that it's
Yes.
lily white.
And even before you turn out on parade, there's an inspection by the parade drill sergeant or the parade warrant that makes sure
Yes.
that your turnout is good. Your
So
boots are
it's-
polished and shining.
It certainly contributes to the profound feeling that you get
Yes.
for the occasion before and after.
And all that is part of the discipline.
That's right.
And everything that we do is geared towards engendering that sense of discipline
That's correct.
so that when we are given instructions, we know how to operate without hesitation.
That's right, yes. And Mr. McCool, if you ever feel in the future that you would be so inclined to wear our uniform, you can maybe consider the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Reserves as an option.
Is that an invitation for me?
Most definitely.
I think there may be some contradiction with my.
Yeah, I'm not going to say you might have to wait until we relax the
The entry requirements.
Yes. You don't think you want to lose those luxurious locks?
The dreadlocks, yeah.
Yes.
But it is an honor to be here with you, gentlemen, again, of the Defense Force. I was at dreadlocks as well, too. I mean, to
Yes.
be here to record this very historical milestone.
That's right. 60 years
Yeah.
of independence. It's definitely a significant moment for us. It's a significant moment for me to be a part of this 60-year
Yes.
celebration.
I echo that sentiment strongly. And I hope that this also could be a catalyst for us to get back on chart of that nation building, that development, that continued excellence that we have as Trinbagonians. Because we have done so much, as you were saying earlier, we have produced so much, given the world so much in music, in
Yes.
sport, in education, in different spheres.
In the area of science,
Yes.
we have so many significant scientists that came from Trinidad and Tobago
That
that
is
have
correct.
impacted on the world stage.
That's correct.
That's right.
You know, and this occasion and what's happening right now in the parade square reminds me of what took place on February 8th, 1966, when Her Majesty the Queen inspected the parade as the infantry battalion trooped the Queen's color and the regiment's color for the first time. So we can see that in some ways what has been done before is also repeating itself, which
That's
is customary.
the importance of tradition. Tradition reminds us to take homage of the people that came before us and the sacrifices that they made so that we could be here. And in celebrating those 60 years, that's another thing that we could look upon.
Yeah.
The nation builders, the ones that came before us. When you say we stand on the shoulders of giants,
Yes, and we salute them. Definitely salute them.
all the forerunners that came did whatever they had to do to establish us so that we could be enjoying these freedoms here today.
Yeah. They ran their first leg. They ran an excellent leg out of the blocks. You know, it was a grueling start. And so it's on to us now. The baton is on to us, and it's been passed. And as you can hear as well, let me just mention, you hear in the background the band is playing "Come Let We Go to Tobago." You know, one
Yes,
of
beautiful music coming from the band in the back accompanying the parade here today, this morning. Just exuberating and just creating that energy and the excitement.
And
And
I
pride.
love that we can use our local music,
Yes,
even
yes,
played in the style of a military band.
yes.
It
That's
is,
even greater significance.
it's something that we could always call our
Yes.
own. We take the traditions and we make them our own.
Yes, yes, and that's what independence is all about. All about
And you see
making
that
it
we
our
have
own and
our,
standing on
our
our
national
own.
instrument on, and it's something that we could boast that no other military in the world, no other military band could present
Yes.
a military band with steel pan.
Yes, yes.
And just, I don't know, it might be my personal bias, but I find the band just sounds a little bit sweeter with some steel pan injected
Yeah,
in
of
there.
course, of course.
Yes.
There's no bias. It's a fact. We could go on that. It's a fact. And even as you were mentioning earlier about when we won the recent 4x4 goal and the
And
200
during
meters
200 goals,
and
Yes.
Dream Richards.
and he made that request
Yes,
to
that
have
was.
the anthem played. That made me so proud to be Trinbagonian.
Yeah, it raised my paws, it brought water to
Definitely.
my eye because it says something. It says that we're really paying attention to more than just having an anthem or having a pledge. It shows a profound meaning, you know. We have some substance or values.
It's who
taps
we
into
are.
it. Yes, it definitely is who we are.
And
Ah,
the fact that we could represent ourselves with something that we've created on the world stage to identify who we are.
Yeah, and I
Anybody
think
sees pan, hears pan, they know that comes from Trinidad and
Trinidad
Tobago.
and
it
Tobago.
helps us to define our future and to define our image and who we are as a people. And certainly just to let our viewers know who are the bands composed of right now. We have the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force, the Faizabad Cadet Corps, and the Boys Brigade and the Girls Association. And that's the lovely music you are hearing. And they are the bands that were combined to help create the atmosphere that we have here on the parade square.
So we see the Chief Secretary inspecting the rear half unarmed contingent of the parade. And the unarmed contingent consists of 2 detachments from the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, 1 detachment of the Prison Service, 1 detachment of the Scouts Association, and 1 detachment of the Pentecostal Crusaders. And I always appreciate the significance of having other organizations part of the Independence Parade.
Yes.
Not just the military personnel of Trinidad and Tobago, but these other associations, the Scouts Association, the Pentecostal Crusaders. It shows that other organizations contribute to the national development
Yes.
of Trinidad and Tobago. And they get the opportunity to represent
Yes.
a small segment of that on parade here today.
And let me just take a moment to acknowledge the band leader who is in command of the band and so graciously leading is Sergeant Straker. And of course, Sergeant Straker is responsible for the music that you are hearing, the arrangements coming from the combined bands from the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force, the Faizabad Cadet Corps, the Boys Brigade, and the Girls Association.
And it's something very special to command a combined band.
Yes.
Because they would have been, I mean, musicians are musicians.
Yes, and
The music is a standard.
and composed of youngsters, young
That's right.
persons, youths of Trinidad and Tobago, who has dedicated themselves to this service of offering music.
And not only today on the drill square, but they will be also on the route march.
On the route march as
providing
well.
music and that inspiration, that little
Yes.
extra oomph
Yes.
for them to go on
So
the route march.
patrons will be lapping up those performances along the road.
And I dare say they'll be turning up when they hit
Yes.
the roadside. Definitely turning up.
So the parade commander has requested from the chief secretary permission to carry on with the remainder of the parade.
We also have our media on the ground, our various media stakeholders and media houses, of course, capturing the moments as they unfold.
So the parade is now being dressed in close order in preparation for the march past and the saluting when they come around to the saluting diocese where the chief secretary is located.
And I think the weather is being very kind this morning. It's not too hot, and it's also not too cloudy.
Well, that's
But
good.
I
We
feel
have
like
to
it's just right.
we have to thank God for
Yes.
perfect weather because it's very difficult to be out on parade enduring that hot sun.
That's right.
And as you look at the screen, we could see all our dignitaries from the Tobago House of Assembly smartly dressed there. All our assemblymen, secretaries, clerks, especially invited guests.
Please be reminded, ladies and gentlemen.
And I know that the troops are probably very happy that they have been given that instruction to ride to.
I know whenever I'm on parade, the first opportunity to step off
Yes.
and get that blood circulating is
Circulating
always
once
welcome.
again, yes. Especially to help with those muscles and loosen those muscles that would have been getting stiff or if they were experiencing any cramps.
So we see the number 1 detachment of the regiment stepping off, followed by the regiment color.
And of course the rendition by the band, of course, is one from Blacks, the late Blacks.
That's right, another icon of Trinidad and
Yes.
Tobago.
And I think this was done purposely to also pay respect to him as he passed on.
Yes.
He has made tremendous contributions to the culture. He's
Yes.
also one of those musicians that the military bands tend to do covers
Yes.
for.
We love it. So as the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, so we have the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment 1st Detachment passing in the Recover Arms. As they approach the saluting diocese, they will give their eyes right.
Of course the color party is behind them. The color
And the
warrants.
second all-female detachment of the regiment also passing in the Recover Arms.
The Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard is passing us now.
The Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard presenting in slope arms.
I have a special bias to the Coast Guard.
And the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Reserves.
And as we see the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Reserves also doing recover arms as they pass the saluting diocese. And we have the last armed detachment of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service presenting in slope arms. Followed by the all-female detachment of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service presenting also
That's right.
in slope arms. And
Loud
as you can hear
applause.
from the crowd,
Yes.
cheering to see our women police on parade. Always love to see a detachment.
And we have the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force making its way now.
You know, a lot of persons come from the cadet force
Yes.
and end up in the military.
And in the military.
Yes, the cadet force serves as a nice succession into
Yes.
the higher military.
And it's an easy transition into the
Yes,
discipline that
yes,
is
yes.
required. And we have the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force color passing the saluting diocese. I understand that it's the first time that the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet color has been presented.
Actually,
Well,
they were
it's-
here in 2019 as well.
Sorry, it's an all-female. It's the first
Yes,
time an all-female
all-female
color party has
right,
been
yes.
presented. So that is always something significant when we can see the women of Trinidad and Tobago taking a prominent role
Yes.
in all the ceremonies that we have
as
in
they
every
continue-
arena.
Yes, they're making strides and breaking that glass ceiling
Yes.
and taking their rightful place.
And I love the inclusivity
Yes.
of today's events.
As the fire service makes their way, the Trinidad and Tobago fire service makes their way, you can hear Fire Fire in the Wire by Calypso Rose.
And the Calypso Rose, a very
Iconic
Tobagonian.
Iconic Trinbagonian, iconic
right.
musician, iconic. Just
And as I heard the Fire Fire play, I was always tempted to dance a little when I hear especially when I hear the pan
Yes.
playing that Fire Fire.
Who can resist the fire?
It's very difficult to resist.
And of course, fire service is one of the favorites, of course, on the
Of
parade
course.
route. They always tend to do a little extra.
When they were, like you say, turn it up.
Yeah, turn it up.
When fire opens out with the music, it makes the route march just a little more special. And we see the all-female detachment of the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. And then we have a detachment from the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service. And this is a special treat for me, personally, being a Sea Scout,
Yes.
seeing the
Nostalgia.
Scouts here on
Yes.
parade today.
Very resiliently making their way across the parade
Especially,
square.
we have some
The
very,
little
very
ones.
young persons
That's right.
on parade here today, and they enduring the hot sun,
Yes.
standing strong on
That's
parade.
right. It's good to see that they have dedicated themselves.
And I can imagine the sense of pride that they feel,
That's
and
right.
how significant will it be that they could look back and tell their children in the future.
And it seems to me they understand all too well their duty and the reason behind what they are doing.
That's right. They represented
Yes,
on the
certainly.
60th anniversary or Diamond Jubilee.
Diamond anniversary.
And I love the word that you all just highlighted there, gentlemen. Duty. Duty. Doing your duty for Trinidad and Tobago is something that we need to understand, get back to, encapsulate. We need to be dutiful.
And I
as you
think
can
if
see,
nothing else, today reminds us that we ought to continue to be duty bound to our country.
That's right.
And
Yes, that is right.
in our own way, and just, be very positive. And I think that's what the world needs. This is what we need at this point in time, especially coming out of a pandemic.
Yes.
There is still a lot more that
We need to rebuild.
we as a nation need to do, and introspection and going forward.
Yes, and especially rebuilding, because
That's right.
While the world sat still, Trinidad and Tobago in itself was a bit kept back 2 years because the world was moving on.
Yes,
So we have a lot more to do in terms of rebuilding this nation, and what better time to do it than our 60th?
And sadly, a lot of lives were lost, but we recognize and remember them today. And, it's never really very easy, in that time of trepidation. But we will continue to stay the future and
I
hold
think-
the reins.
I think it's one thing that we do very well as Trinbagonians
Yes,
is we have that resilience.
that's right.
Yes, yes.
Whatever is taking place, I mean, they often say that God is a Trini,
God is a
and we make light of everything. But I believe that we have an attitude as no matter what, jump high, jump low, sun up, sun down, we are ready to be resilient.
Yes, definitely.
We roll with the punches, and then we go ahead, we build, and we find that moment of gratitude and that opportunity to, despite all that is happening, have a good time regardless.
And we know how to rally around each other in times
That's
of
right.
distress and disaster. So that is really a good thing about our people.
That's where we see that unity
Yes.
in this colonial nation come forward.
Yeah, and that's the true essence of the West Indian culture. It's true Caribbean. You look at Trinidad and Tobago, it's true West Indian culture. We encapsulate that Caribbean finish,
So as we see the rear of the parade falling back in, the unarmed detachments, we have the detachment commanders giving the instructions for the parade to advance and be stood at ease in preparation for the parade commander to take back over command of the parade.
That's right.
So we have the parade commander approaching the parade.
Down and open order. Right. Just
So again, we have the
Parade
parade
is now being
commander
dressed in open order.
dressing the parade in open order,
Will be placed at ease.
and then they will be told to stand at ease. And whenever you march off and then
Gonna
you come
drive
back, you're
fast.
always given the instruction to redress.
Yes, so they will be checking to ensure that the ranks are in line with each other, the front rank, the center rank, and the rear rank.
it's always important to maintain that
Also at
discipline,
today's
And that dressing is
that
very
form,
important.
viewing of the parade,
and that
we
structure
have
of the parade.
Assemblyman Dr. Faith
It's the reason why everybody looks
Israel,
as one.
Secretary,
That's why we dress in a uniform.
Health,
That's why we
Wellness,
operate in
The
uniformity.
basis of teamwork.
and social protection.
And it's very important, especially in the military, to be a brother's keeper.
That's right.
Because when you're out there, it's only your brother that you have by your
Welcome
side.
you to today's
Important to
celebration.
stand
ma'am.
in the gap for one another and to look out for one another out there.
So that's why we train, that's why we do drill, that's why we practice continuously.
Yes. It's an ongoing process and training never ends.
So the parade commander has instructed the parade to stand at ease.
While we await the drive pass, let us welcome Assemblyman George, Niall George, Assistant Secretary of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities.
So the parade has been stood at ease, and the parade commander takes up his position in preparation for the drive pass from the mechanized infantry.
Yes. And this is where the parade gets very creative. And
We have a chance to see all the different vehicular assets
vehicles and assets
that
of the
Defense Force, not only Defense Force, but other organizations
Yes.
of Trinidad and Tobago have,
that we would have not otherwise seen.
Additionally,
unless there was a
welcome
disaster
today's
or
celebration,
unfortunate,
Councillor
if there was
Morris,
war.
Secretary
And
of
thank God we have
Tourism,
not had any of those.
I always thank God every day.
Culture, Antiquities, and Transportation.
So we have the beginning of the mechanized
Ladies and
infantry
gentlemen,
being led by the regiment. We have an
even though
outrider by one of the
machines,
regiments. Now
they
the
are manned
outriders
by
play a
humans.
very important position
And
whenever
we do employ
the
each
vehicles
and
are moving
everyone
from point to point.
to be
Yes.
They are the
supportive
forerunners.
of the effort
And of course, the Chief Secretary has
placed into the
took the
preparation
stand, of course, and you pay their respects
for
as they
today's
pass
parade.
by
And we are having a wonderful display of
to
the
the Chief
wide
Secretary,
array
Safali Augustine.
of vehicles at the disposal of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, particularly the regiment, troop carriers, tankers,
And we see some of the equipment that the regiment has.
Yes, and this will be
We saw
And
one
an
of their
assortment
jeeps mounted with
vehicles.
primary armament. And we have
varying
one of the troop
functionality.
carriers.
yes, and the Liberty.
And
The Liberty
most
certainly
fitting
brings back memories for me.
Yeah.
for the parade commander who is attached
And we have one
to
of the
engineering
excavators.
section of
Now,
regiment.
the engineering branch of the
We
regiment,
have-
Yes.
the engineering battalion, they have a lot of equipment to aid in disaster
Vehicles
relief,
Disaster relief.
that will
and they are
provide
always on
support
call, ready
for Lieutenant
to
Colonel
perform their function
Roachford.
and aid Trinidad and Tobago whenever there is a
bikes
national
and
emergency.
assortment
You
of
can see on our
vehicles from the
screens,
Trinidad and Tobago
patrons are
Police
taking
Service.
photos capturing the moments, waving the national flag of Trinidad and Tobago as they pass by. Truly happy for this
They are supported
occasion. Our 60th independence
by
anniversary, our
the
diamond
numerous vans
anniversary.
and SUVs
We see
as
the
they
police
drive
service
past
coming by with their vehicles.
for your viewing pleasure. As much as possible, be encouraging and give them a lusty
We hear
round of
the crowd
applause.
Yes.
cheering on the police.
Sharing on the TTPS.
So happy to see the persons that make the sacrifices to make sure that we are safe and protected.
That's right.
And ladies and gentlemen, be reminded that we are expecting our fly pass.
Well, now we are seeing sirs coming up on bikes. This is very interesting.
I'd
sir.
love to see the
This is the first time I'm seeing this.
This is the first time, yes, we've had, because I mean, it's been 2 years.
Yes.
This is the
with
first time we have
powerful legs
the
and healthy
police
hearts.
officers on the bicycles on parade.
On
The
parade.
electric
The smart
bikes.
bicycles as well, to
Our
electric,
This is
yeah.
how the Tobago police officers perform some of their duties on bikes.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, they would be assigned or designated to certain areas and certain patrols.
You know, I've seen them on the beaches and
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. certainly an amazing
And certainly a crowd favorite, we have the fire service.
fire service now
Trinidad and
making its
Tobago Fire
way.
Service. My personal friends, I would like to say, the first responders.
Yes.
I don't like to see them working at all because when they're working, it means that somebody is in danger and they're trying to bring relief. So when they're not working, I always rejoice.
Yes.
And we love to see them on parade, especially I know the children.
Yes.
Love
yes.
to see the fire appliances.
They are absolutely a crowd pleaser.
And of course, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service was commissioned on the 26th of September 1963.
And I would want to mention something about the fire service here in Tobago. Recently, we had, a couple of years back, we had a Scarborough fire station being burnt to the ground. And the officers themselves, with the assistance of military personnel, of personnel from expert personnel from the Tobago House of Assembly, were able to build back the Scarborough fire station headquarters from out of their own pockets, led by retired divisional fire commander, assistant chief fire officer David Thomas. He's 60 this year, so he takes independence very, very serious. And I would like to send a special happy independence to retired assistant fire officer David Thomas.
And that's something very special to see that they would have paid for it out of their own pockets.
Yes, definitely.
They understood the need for it to be there.
Yes.
And I appreciate that dedication to service.
Yeah, definitely. No, and that's the next thing that people also need to remember and understand, that you fine gentlemen are not just trained for warfare, you are trained for many other things as well too. Special skills, many different things.
That's right. You can find a number of skilled personnel in the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. And I would like to even believe in Trinidad and Tobago,
Yes.
we are a special kind of people.
Yeah, we are very special.
We are truly blessed to be talented in so many different ways. And everything that we do, we just seem to excel. It
Yes.
comes naturally.
And of course that comes from our struggle, that as I said, the resilience from being able to endure. That's the difference between graphite and diamond. They're both just made of carbon, but with pressure, graphite is in a pencil, $2 a dollar. But then the diamonds, after that pressure, is absolutely priceless.
After we take all that pressure and we turn into diamonds, we're able to celebrate our Diamond Jubilee.
Diamond Jubilee.
So
That's where we are today.
We had 60 years of pressure to
Yes.
come to this point.
But it certainly molded. It certainly molded something in us. It engendered something in us. I would say that somewhere along the lines we sort of fell short. But it's about lighting the candle and not cursing the darkness. I'm just saying that I really hope that today can be that beacon to steer us back on course, to get us back to that strong patriotic nature that we normally emulate,
Yes.
that we experience from time to time.
And well, you hear it in our national anthem, in the lyrics of our national anthem, that they're going to play when we do the review order and the 21 gun salute. Forge in the love of liberty, in the
Yes.
fires of hope and prayer.
Hope and prayer.
That's what you do. You're forged in fire. And we as a nation definitely have been forged in fire.
Definitely.
And that's what you do when you want to get the purity out of something.
Yeah.
You put a little fire behind it.
Yeah,
And I
call
think
it
we
a
have
crucible.
also been through the fire, right? And coming out of those challenging situations from in the past,
Especially the pandemic.
the pandemic.
Is
You
definitely an occasion to celebrate.
Yes.
Even though we may have lost some lives,
That's
we
right.
always
Soon as the flight
need to
pass,
just take a moment,
First.
remember who they are, and let their spirits live on in respecting I wouldn't say the sacrifice, but the loss.
But the price that they would have
Yes.
paid.
Yeah, and that's very important. It's always important to pay that homage, to know where you came from, what you had to endure, so that in itself will help you to chart where you're heading, where you can go, what you can overcome.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I
So
invite you
the
to
parade
stand.
commander has now given
this
instruction
time-
for the parade to shoulder arms as they get in preparation for the advance in review order and the playing of the national anthem, followed by a 21 gun salute. So the parade has been advanced in review order.
Now the
And
playing
will
of the
now
national
salute.
anthem of Trinidad and Tobago.
For the playing of the national anthem.
And you
in
can
the
hear the loud cheers
anniversary of
erupting after
independence.
that 21-gun salute and our
the
national anthem
Republic
being
of
played,
Trinidad
and
and
it just...
Tobago.
Just poor racing, you know.
Yeah, it is,
Definitely.
it is.
I was
If
standing
We
there
now
and
have
the emotions, you know,
departure.
We're welling up. It brings
Welling
a
up.
sense
Yes.
of pride and excitement,
certainly.
especially to hear the crowd.
of the Chief Secretary
it definitely
of
gives you
Tobago
that
House
sense of
Assembly,
something greater
the
than
Honorable
self.
And the feeling is indescribable.
Yes.
Paddy Augustine,
So we now have the departure of the Chief
And,
Secretary.
he's going to be immediately followed by his wife.
And
Additionally,
he will be... And the Chief Secretary is
would
being
want to
escorted
invite-
by his aide-de-camp, Lieutenant Jamal Wiggins.
So Jamal Wiggins from the Trinidad and Tobago.
public,
And a representative of the Chief of Defense Staff, Brigadier General Dexter Francis. And gentlemen, I must ask, as how does one feel to be in uniform, representing Trinidad and Tobago, especially on a day in this iconic, it's a very iconic parade. It's probably the greatest commemoration of our independence. We must have the Independence Day parade. It's something that is part of us, you know. From the time you hear the drums, people line the streets, it's something we look forward to. We turn on the TVs. Once you're Trinbagonian, you look forward to the parade. And we know this, every independence. So how does it feel as an officer? I'm looking on here, I'm seeing some trying to keep back their smiles. Some have tremendous pride in them.
You definitely stand tall and you get that sense of pride because not only you know that you're representing Trinidad and Tobago, but you're representing yourself on parade. And you want to make sure that you turn out smartly, that you represent yourself well. You represent your nation, you represent your friends and your family who are watching you, especially on the broadcast, both locally and internationally. You know that you are representing the pride of the military of Trinidad and Tobago, the best of the best as to what we have to offer.
And even though some of them, their faces look very serious, the emotions and the excitement is bubbling.
Yeah.
And that feeling of pride and patriotic fervor.
I could even remember speaking with some of the officers and personnel, and they absolutely look forward to being part of the parade detail.
Yes.
It's a wonderful spectacle.
Yeah.
And even the opportunity to be on the road march. I know the route march
The route march.
is what I look
how do you
forward
phrase
to.
it? You call it catching the parade? That's what you
Yeah,
call it? Catching the
you
parade?
catch a parade.
Yeah.
So you will tell one of your colleagues, yes, boy, you catch a parade this year.
Yeah.
You catch it.
I'll have to familiarize myself with the military lingo, you know?
So we have a little jargons and
Yes, yeah.
landline.
So we have the fly pass of the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard, one of the air assets.
Yes, and the Air Guard, as they just mentioned, is the only detachment that's not here in uniform, but they did definitely give us that fly pass.
They represent by flying pass.
Yes.
So we see the shadow of the plane just pass over the parade.
What a wonderful salute that is.
The air wing was commenced in the year of 1966.
So the parade commander has instructed the parade to move to the right and column and route in preparation to march the parade on the route march.
On the route march. I mean, the curtains are coming down on the parade as it pertains to on the parade square here, and is also going to be lifted as they march out onto the parade route once more, where patrons are going to, you know,
Where we could interact directly with the public.
With the public, yes.
Where everyone gets an opportunity to see their men and women who served them so proudly
That's right.
on the route march.
And it seems like we've only just begun, and here we are, almost
Coming
the end.
to a close.
Coming to a close.
As we see the cadet band taking up their position, getting ready to lead.
A joint band, actually, I would say.
Yes,
the
it's a
Trinidad
joint
and Tobago
band.
Cadet Force. From, I think they represented from Faizabad, formerly Petrotrin. We have the Boys Brigade and the Girls Association as well. And let me just take this opportunity to really wish also happy birthday to our independence babies, those that were born,
Who were
on
born here
today.
today.
You know, like Miss Agatha Pierre McLean, who is here in the stands with us today, and she's celebrating her birthday today and Independence, fully adorned in her colors and
In the red, white, and black.
in the red, white, and black. And I must say happy birthday to you, happy birthday to Trinidad and Tobago. And you know, what better celebration?
What a way
than
to celebrate,
Yeah.
on the day that the country is celebrating our birthday. You
Definitely.
can celebrate as well. So we
Yes.
all celebrate you. It's definitely a privilege to be a part of today's broadcast.
It certainly was.
And
Certainly was.
they have the best celebration. They have the fireworks in the night time.
That's
when
right.
The sun goes down, you know.
Fireworks just for you.
Yeah. So, as they're about to take route, let me just go through. We have some temporary traffic restrictions as the parade goes to the highway or exits the parade square. Between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 a.m., vehicular traffic is prohibited along the Claude Noel Highway in the following areas: between Friendsfield Road and Codler Hall Phase 1, between Darrell Spring and Wilson Road onto Claude Noel Highway, the Rockley Vale intersection, the Codler Hall intersection, the Bagatelle number 2 intersection, Bacalet traffic lights intersection, the Carrington Street and Wilson Road intersection. And Sub-Lieutenant Carrington, that's your street.
Yes.
That's right. I am a true Trinidadian, having grown up in both Trinidad and Tobago. The Carrington is a very prominent name here in Tobago. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have the cadet band leading the armed detachment of the parade as they get ready to march on to the
Playing
road.
very beautifully, I must say.
I know you can feel the excitement. I know I definitely feel
Yes.
the excitement as the cadet band pass playing Out and Bad.
That's right.
It's one of my favorite songs for this season.
I remember we had that conversation earlier on.
Yes.
It's also one of my favorite songs, and I think a lot of people can appreciate that particular tune.
What a way to start off
Yes.
the route march by playing
have
Out
the-
and Bad
That's right.
by voice.
The selection is absolutely,
It is apt.
yeah,
Yes,
it is up.
it's most
It is
fitting,
apt.
and we have
You know,
the-
it's a way to remind us that to have that fervor, to march forward, to go on into that
That's
the
right.
unknown.
To step out with that gospel.
Yes,
Yes,
with
we-
style.
We have the
Yes.
female detachment of the TTR that just passed us. Now we have the Coast Guard passing in front of us now. Looking very smart,
they-
very sharp.
Go by the saluting diocese, we can hear the crowd cheering them on.
And we have the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Reserves in the red beret. Very noticeable, very outstanding.
And some lovely shots there, some lovely infinity shots showing
We have the
the
Trinidad and
detachments
Tobago
making the
Police
way up the
Service.
playgrounds.
That's right, we have our WPCs on parade.
Yes,
I'd love to see them. They will be all on the route march.
that's right.
And I also noticed that the detachments, the armed attachments, are carrying or different firearms or different.
That's right. So the women, you'll notice the difference, especially between the women and the men. The men carry rifles and the women carry submachine guns.
So the men would be carrying the self-loading rifle, the SLR, and the women would be carrying the Uzi.
And as I look on at the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force, we could see one of the members who is wearing a hijab. So that's definitely something that I also love to see. Every creed and race finding an equal place. Oh, and it's showtime. It's showtime as the band takes.
And of course, that's Mr. Anderson O'Connor, who is
And
the
we have-
mace leading the cadet band, the combined cadet band.
I know if you were here in person and you hear this band pass you,
Yes.
you will feel the excitement
My
and the energy.
paws have been raised again.
And we see the band leader
And look, we are
giving
seeing
us
the
a
band
little
leader,
flourish.
Mr. Anderson
Yes.
O'Connor, of course, from the Faizabad Cadet Corps, formerly Petrotrin, showing off his skills with the mace.
Yeah. And listen, the reverb of the drums, the horns, it's such an overwhelming feeling. It evokes such emotion. in an individual. And if you're tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special broadcast of our Diamond Jubilee, or 60th anniversary of Trinidad and Tobago's independence, here from the parade grounds at Bacalet, Tobago. Beautiful Tobago, beautiful day today. Happy 60th independence.
We definitely couldn't ask for better weather for today's parade.
Yes.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
It is sunny, but it's cool. You feel the breeze,
It's wonderful.
and I know those
It's
who
just
are on
right.
the parade here today will appreciate it. Again, as we see the scouts passing us, the scouts are also going to do the entire route march. So they are going to be on the parade, marching all the way through to the fallout area. I know we should be especially proud of the young ones here on parade.
Of course.
Definitely, definitely. And we should be especially proud because if I should take us back to the eve of our independence, 1962, August 30th, when Premier at the time, the late Eric Williams, he gave a speech at the youth rally advising the youngsters to teach their parents, to teach them unity, solidarity, camaraderie, what it takes to build a great nation, what it takes for us to be combined. He also said that the future of the nation is in our book bags, which is education.
That's right.
Yeah. So you educate yourself, you empower yourself, and you help build a nation. So they have fanned out quite quickly out of the parade ground.
That's right. They're getting ready to go out on the route march now. They will have a sip of water, get rehydrated, and get ready to go all the way to the fallout area on the parade route. I can see from here the road is already lined with patrons looking on and anticipating the march off.
They are very excited to see the detachments on the roadway, and a lot of friends and family would be lined up on the streets to support them.
Getting ready to cheer them on, and I know you at home could feel a particular sense of pride to see the personnel of the military as well as the different organizations here representing on the 60th anniversary of our independence. Not just anybody else's independence, but our independence.
Our independence, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
I definitely have enjoyed this broadcast with you, Mr. McCool and Private Lopez.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
definitely a privilege and a pleasure to be here,
Yes.
coming live from Tobago here today.
It certainly was an immense pleasure to be here with you guys on this propitious occasion. And before I leave, I just want to encourage people of Trinidad and Tobago to just remember your collective responsibility, each and every one of us, as we continue to move forward as a nation. And let us continue to be responsible in our actions.
Well, gentlemen, I think the pleasure is indeed mine to be amongst you esteemed gentlemen, you experts, you servicemen. Again, I want to thank you for all that you have done and all your comrades, compatriots, persons. It has been a tremendous honor to be here with you all, to document or be a part of this very historical milestone. Out of Tobago, this is just one part of our independence broadcast. There's also a much larger parade in Port of Spain, Trinidad, that is also happening. And I really want to thank you, gentlemen, for being here with us this
Definitely.
morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And I want to wish you,
Definitely
Mr. McCool, happy independence.
Yes.
And same to you, and same
And
to
to
you
the
all.
nation of Trinidad and Tobago, to my
Yes.
family as well. A happy Independence Day. And I look forward to the fireworks on the waterfront tonight. It's on by the Esplanade.
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
Yes.
It will be a packed day of activity. And, of course, you've been watching this very special broadcast here of our Diamond Jubilee from the parade grounds at Bacalet, Tobago. On behalf of myself, Sub-Lieutenant Darian Carrington, and Private Joseph Lopez, we want to thank you for tuning in. All of you who have been watching from home, watching from abroad, whether you're overseas or otherwise, we're Trinbagonian. It's our time. Happy independence
Happy
to you.
independence.
And
Thank you
let's-
for celebrating with us.
Yes, and keep on forging ahead. Let's continue our nation-building elements. Let's continue to heist up or lift ourselves up in value. Let's remember those values, and of course, let's try to embody those watchwords.
Certainly.
Discipline,
Tolerance and production.
characters, right? So from all of us here, and from all the hard-working staff from behind the scenes, from the Department of Information, the Office of the Chief Secretary, the Tobago House of Assembly, we want to thank you all for tuning in, and we wish you a wonderful day and an exciting day today on our 60th anniversary of our independence.
Bye-bye. Take care, Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you.